Good day to you, and thanks for tuning in to the Home Building Hero, where you can be the hero in your brand new home. I am your host, David Bellman with Bellman Homes, and today's topic is ditching the dining room. That's right, more and more people these days are getting rid of their formal dining room or not putting them in their new home at all. And there's a lot of reasons for why people are getting rid of them. And I'll go over a few of those reasons why we get rid of those now, or people aren't using them as much. And also, if you have one, maybe some ideas of what you can do better with that space or how to better utilize it. And even some topics on, maybe ways that people are still having a dining room, but making better use of that space. So today's all about dining rooms, guys. So first and foremost, why are people getting rid of them? Why have we got away from them as a society? Well, of course, lifestyles change, and we are building for different generations of people now. And you have to understand that a lot of people that we're building for now have grown up in a completely different era than our past generations. Our lifestyles are so different nowadays, right? I mean, you think back many years ago, and you'd have maybe only one person working in the home, and the spouse would be at home. And so you'd have a hot meal on your plate or for dinner when you came home from work. And we don't really have that anymore. We have, a lot of dual working families just because things are a little tougher financially, affordability and all those things. So, a lot of times people just don't have time to sit down, pull out all the china and have this huge cooked meal every night. And of course, with all the availability of quick and fast food, we have all this informal dining now. We have things like, call ahead ordering. You can go to any of your favorite franchise restaurants and call ahead and pick your food right up and bring it home. You have drive-thrus everywhere. You have these little meal kit things you can get now. So, there's so many things that have changed our eating behavior. And, people just aren't taking the time anymore to sit down at a table and have a family meal, which is kind of a shame because it is, a good time to connect with your family. The other thing is, I think the reason dining rooms have gotten away from the mainstream is that, people are multitasking so much more too. Now we have our tablets and our smartphones and all these things, and, those unfortunately end up at the dinner table many times. And a lot of times people are just distracted. So they just, sitting down and having that formal meal just isn't a thing anymore. And a lot of things too have changed with kitchens in general, and we can talk about that in a future podcast. But we see a lot more people eating right at their kitchen, whether it's at an island and having the stools there and eating right there where everybody else is. So somebody's still prepping a meal, you're still all together. And it's about efficiency and just using your time appropriately. So I think a lot of people still want to have that connectivity of being together, but not being kind of sequestered to a room off to the side. And I think that's a big reason why the dining room has, gotten away from mainstream. The other thing is that as homes have gotten more expensive and the cost of construction has went up, people really need the space. And so to have a dinette area and a formal dining room, that's a lot of extra square footage that maybe people can't afford. So, you make your dinette kind of fancy in your normal eating area, which is sort of attached right to your kitchen. And then that dining room, can either disappear completely to make the house smaller, or that dining room turns it into some sort of other space within your home. And I think that's where a lot of people are going with their homes. So if you have an existing home, a lot of people are just ditching their dining room and turning it into a small home office or an area for homework for their kids. It could be a playroom if you have smaller children, or where they put all their toys. Or a lot of times what we're doing with new homes is we call it a flex room. Because some people, maybe around the holidays, you do need that big table in there and you want to gather everybody around. But the other times of the year, maybe it is a small little office, or maybe it's a sitting room or a little library, a reading room. So a lot of people have converted those spaces into those type of things. We've also seen people use those as music rooms. So maybe that's where the little baby grand piano goes, or the kids drum set, or whatever it is that, the musician in your family uses. That's a great space to use, for those type of functions. So we've also seen people do things like craft rooms. And, that's another neat use of the space if you already have a dining room on your existing home and you want to repurpose it. Heck, in our house for a while, what we did is we had a area for our formal dining room, and we had a big fish tank in there, and we had some chairs, and kind of used it as a reading room and just a relaxation room. So kind of a nice way to use that space as well, where it's kind of off on its own, and that way if someone's in the other room in the TV and you just want to kind of chill, that's a great way to do it as well. So lots of different things that you can do with that space if you have it. Of course, if you're building, most people are getting away from those. And the other thing that we're seeing now is really having more of an opening of the floor plan, so that if for some reason there is a formal dining area, you don't have the walls there anymore. So, it becomes a flexible open space. And, we've seen people where, all of a sudden, when a whole big family comes over, you can double up on your table and expand it. But then when they're not there, maybe you do have kind of more of a dinette table in there that's smaller, like more of a, not really a cocktail table, but something like that. And then you have maybe some seating area behind it, just some chairs where you can just sit and have a drink and just relax and maybe look out your windows. So we're seeing that where, we're getting rid of the walls and just making that space open and flexible for whatever purpose you want to use for it. And I think that's really kind of the trend, now and going forward. And I don't think formal dining rooms are really going to, be a thing for quite a while, because we are in that fast-paced society. We are in that, got to keep moving. Families have soccer practice and things, and they're running their kids back and forth. And we're all so much busier doing different things that it's really eliminated that need for the formal dining room. And even so, even a lot of people, if they do want to have meals together, a lot of times they're just going out to eat. They're not cooking as much as they used to. So a lot of reasons for the change. I definitely recommend, if you're building, to try and avoid formal dining rooms if possible. A lot of people are using that extra space in the home and making kitchens larger, including things like walk-in pantries, or maybe taking some of that space and putting it into a laundry room or a mudroom type area. So I think that's the trend going forward, and we're going to see that for many years to come. So hopefully this gave you guys some ideas and some thoughts on what you could do and how you could better use that space, and really make sure that you're building the right house for your needs and your family's needs going forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Home Building Hero, and I encourage you all to subscribe to this podcast so you can get all the latest and greatest content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if for some reason you guys have an idea, you want me to talk about it, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me on Twitter, and my handle is at David Bellman 2. That's BELMAN. At David Bellman 2, and just hit me up with a tweet and let me know what you'd like to hear about, and we can include it on a future episode of the Home Building Hero. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and enjoy your day.